Well, hello everyone. This is Fadi, and I want to welcome you, of course, to our live stream here. We call it, of course, Let Us Reason, but this one is recorded. And with me here is our dear brother, Jay Smith. And the reason why we're meeting this time and we're doing this interview has nothing to do really with the usual topics that we talk about, but it's somewhat related to it. It's about our online conference that will be held online in October, and it's going to be 2 days in a row. October 11th, that's Friday, and October 12th, that's Saturday. And of course, Dr. J, as always, is one of our speakers. We have this time combined all of the four tracks into 2 days. So it's going to be somewhat a light schedule, a little bit compared to before. The first day, which is Friday, the 11th, we're going to have two parts. The first part will be about refugees, primarily focused on Muslim refugees. And the second part will be about reaching Muslim women. And on Saturday, the first part will be about evangelism to Muslims, whether they're immigrants or students or anyone for that matter who is from a Muslim background. And the last part, of course, last track will be our favorite track, which is Apologetics and Polemics. And that's where Dr. J is going to be one of our main speakers. So, Dr. J, thank you again for taking the time to be with us here to promote the conference and to talk a little bit about the topic that you plan on covering.
Yeah, and I think the topic I'm planning on covering is this brand new material that's coming out on Muhammad himself. And there are two facets to what I'm going to be doing. First and foremost, I'm going to be talking, and this is something that we've always been asking, and it's the same thing that was asked of Jesus Christ, and that is this person is a historical character. He is a historical figure. So where is the historical support for him? That's been asked of Christianity, since the 1800s, so the 19th century. So coming on 200 years, that has been a question that we've had to support and we've had to come up with, and legitimately so. That's a perfectly legitimate question to ask. And we've done that by going back and finding the earliest manuscripts to support that. So, where are the earliest manuscripts for Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Well, in the first century, the church at that time was very poor. They didn't have a lot of means, and so therefore they could not write on very expensive material like animal skins, parchment, or vellum. All they had at their disposal were what we call papyrus, these interlocking leaves. And so we wouldn't expect to find any of the original manuscripts because with leaves that interlock, they disintegrate within about 100 years. But copies of copies of copies of copies were made, and that's why we have such a treasure trove of manuscripts that start to appear at the beginning, just fragments from the second century, third. By the fourth century, they could start. They were rich enough. They were wealthy enough. You had Constantine, that was now the emperor, who commissioned, in fact, 50 of these documents of the New Testament itself for the Council of Nicaea, written on animal skin. And so from that time, there's a real proliferation of animal skin documents, which are as good today as the day they were written in the fourth century. So the same thing is now being asked of Islam. Where are your documents? Where are your original extant? We call this extant. That means we can have their extant. We can look at them. We can feel them. We can read them. Where are those documents? And I'm going to introduce a bombshell at your conference. I'm going to introduce something that probably nobody who's listening right now has heard. Nobody has dared to answer that question. Isn't that interesting? We've had to answer that question for 200 years, and we've come up with answers and responses. We've done our homework, and we have found genre after genre of material that helps support who Jesus was, what he said and what he did, what he said and what he did. What he said would be the hadith of Jesus, what he did would be the sirah of Jesus. So we're demanding the same question of Islam. Where's the hadith of Muhammad? Where's the sirah of Muhammad? Pretty simple question to ask. And no one has done the homework, not one Muslim. The only ones who have even dared to do this are Europeans. The Europeans are the only ones who are doing this, have gone back to ask, where are the extant manuscripts for people like Ibn Hisham, the Sirah, or Al-Waqidi, that's another Sirah, or the Hadiths, like Sahih Bukhari, Ibn Dawud, Tirmidhi, Sahih Muslim. All of these six compilations of hadith that everybody reads and writes to know what Muhammad said, where are the extant manuscripts? Now, you've heard me, haven't you, many times? We've talked about this, that the manuscripts or the writings of these individuals, Al-Tabari, who introduces the Tafsir and the Tahriq, or the Sahaba, or the Tabi'un, those who are the ones who are right with Muhammad, and the Tabi'un, the second generation, where are their manuscripts? We've always assumed that they did not appear to the ninth and 10th century. You've heard me say this many times. I'm going to shatter that. I'm not going to tell you, because now we know we have in our hands when those manuscripts are, and they're not from the ninth century. They're not from the 10th century. Wait till you see where they're from. And what's most exciting is we have bits and pieces of stuff that starts to appear. But when is the canonized text, the text we're using today, the one that every Muslims are dependent on to know what Muhammad did and what Muhammad said? When are those manuscripts, those canonized manuscripts? Because the ones that come before are partial and they don't agree with each other, and there's contradictions. And so finally, the canonized text of the Sirah and the Tafsir and the Tahriq and the Hadith, when are they written down? Well, we have the answer now. We've done our homework. And we're the first, I think we'll be the first one to actually publicize it. And you're going to be shocked. Now, that's the first thing. Once we do that, then we're going to say, hold on a minute. If these are all so late, you're going to see these are hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years late. What about the man himself? What about in the 7th century when he lived? Since he was born there in 570, that's the late 6th century, and died there in 632, that's the beginning of the 7th century. What about that Muhammad? Where is that Muhammad? Now, notice I'm saying Muhammad, Muhammad. There's a reason I'm saying that. There's a reason I'm emphasizing that, because that's what we've been looking for. We've been looking for a Muhammad that has 3 vowels. And we have not thought through this carefully. There were no vowels in Arabic that early. There were no vowels written down in Arabic until the 8th or 9th, possibly even as late 9th century. But we're in the 7th century. So why are we saying Muhammad? Take those 3 vowels off, and what are you left with? Hold on. We're going to show you what you're left with. And when you find out what you're left with, wait till you see what we do know, because that character, that individual, or that title, and it is a title, is all over the 7th century, but it's not at all who you think he is. Wait till you find out who he is. Yeah, we're going to shock everybody. This is going to be fun. So this is new material that's just come to light in the last 6 months. And in some cases, some of what I'm going to share with you in just the last 2 weeks. So this is going to be fun to be able to introduce it. As you know, we're always on the cutting edge. We're always looking for new material. We're always pushing the boundaries, pushing the barriers. And your conference is going to be where we're going to introduce this stuff, this material for the first time.
Well, that's wonderful. And of course, I hope everyone who will be watching this will make the initiative at least and take the step to register, even if they could not attend. The good news is it will be recorded, at least for sure, your part will be recorded, and they can always come back later and watch it for whatever reason, sometimes difference in time zone, sometimes people are traveling, you never know. So I'm going to go ahead at least and show a handful of slides that will allow people to take a look at the speakers, the dates, and also the registration link. So once again, folks, here is a look at the conference. These are the pictures of some of our speakers. As you can see, Dr. J is there, but we also have some of the speakers from the last few years as well, like Dr. David Wood, our dear sister, Laura Powell, which, by the way, she is a dynamite, and I am so excited that she's going to be partnered with us, not just at this conference, but at other events as well. And then you see Nasser and Andrew, former Muslims from Saudi, like myself. And we see Dr. Tony Costa. We're not so sure yet if he's going to be available live or via recording. And then I intentionally showed you this picture, folks, because it has the picture of our dear brother, Pastor Tom Doyle, and his wife, Joanne. We want you to pray for Tom because he's been diagnosed with cancer and he is going through treatment. We've been receiving updates almost on a weekly basis. Things are definitely under control and his situation is improving, but he couldn't join us. But I asked if I can at least show a recording that I did with him and his wife in his honor, of course, and he agreed to do so. So we covet everybody's prayer. Of course, if you want to register, you can see the link down at the bottom. It's alfadiacademy.com/conference. Yeah, so all I want you to do, folks, is to click on that link or at least write it down, go there, register, and you can choose to register for 1 day or both days. And if you do it soon, before the end of September, the discount, 20% discount, it's still going to be available. We are thinking about extending it. We haven't made that decision yet, and it's not my decision only. We have a committee that I have to run it by, but I'm hoping that many of you will take advantage of this and go ahead and register before the conference starts. Thank you again, everyone, for watching this. And please spread this video and the information through your network and social media connections. And again, Dr. J, thank you so much for taking time to be here with us. And we're excited really to have you and to listen to this new material. And hopefully you and I will do, as usual, a video series on that as well soon.
Thank you. Right. God bless.
Well, this is Al Fadi. God bless you, folks. Take care.